RRF Caserta.
South Italy, in English language.
Today is day 1,479 of the Ukraine-Russia conflict.
Yeah, exactly 4 years in.
Right, 4 years. But, the biggest development today, it actually isn't happening on the front lines in Eastern Europe.
No, not
It's happening at sea. And it's being entirely driven by the Middle East.
Which sounds crazy, but it's true.
It really is. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a really diverse stack of international reporting today to figure this out. We've got Italian coverage from La Repubblica, French reports from Le Figaro and Ukraine Dernière Actualités, plus local updates straight from Ukraine's Pravda.
Yeah, it's a lot to pull together.
It is, but our mission today is to cut through all that daily noise. The casualty counts, the political posturing. We want to connect the dots for you and show exactly how global oil, Iranian drones, and European bank accounts have all kind of merged into this one massive interconnected web of modern warfare.
Because when you look at these sources together, you realize none of this is happening in a vacuum. It's all one big machine now.
That's exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the foundational layer of any modern conflict, which is money.
Always the money.
Always. And right now, a completely different war is funding this one.
Yeah, this is where the economics get really complicated.
So according to the reporting, the U.S. Treasury just granted a 30-day waiver. And this waiver allows the purchase of 100 million barrels of sanctioned Russian oil and petroleum products that are currently just stuck at sea.
Right, floating on tankers.
Yeah. And just for context, 100 million barrels is roughly equal to 1 full day of total global oil production.
It's a massive amount of energy.
It is. And the reason they're doing this, the war in the Middle East has completely spiked global demand and prices.
Yeah, the instability there has the markets totally spooked.
So they issue this waiver. And it's like, I don't know, it's like trying to starve a house fire of oxygen by closing the front door, but then opening the kitchen window because it's getting too hot inside.
That is actually a really perfect way to describe it.
Because according to a Financial Times report, this has essentially made Russia the primary beneficiary of the Middle East conflict.
Oh, absolutely. The math on it is staggering.
Russia is pulling in an extra $150 million a day right now.
A day.
With total projected additional revenues of up to $10 billion just going straight to their war effort.
And, the Kremlin is not being quiet about this.
No, they're loving it.
Right. You have the Russian negotiator, Kirill Dmitriev. He openly stated that this whole situation proves the global energy market simply cannot remain stable without Russian oil.
Wow.
Yeah, and the Kremlin is actively gloating that U.S. and Russian interests have, quote, coincided.
Okay, but wait. Doesn't this completely undermine the entire Western sanctions strategy?
Yeah.
What is the point of a sanction if we just waive it when things get tight?
Well, this is the agonizing dilemma facing Washington right now.
With the gas prices.
Exactly. You have to balance this massive domestic political pressure over soaring energy costs against the desire to punish a belligerent nation. If gas hits, $5 or $6 a gallon in the U.S., the political fallout is huge. So Washington is essentially forced to choose between domestic stability and international pressure.
Which means they chose the kitchen window. They let the oxygen back in.
Yeah, they did.
So what does this all mean? We have this $10 billion accidental windfall for Russia. And that money is immediately causing diplomatic dominoes to fall across Europe.
Oh, the unity is totally fracturing.
Yeah, because we constantly hear about a united Europe in the news. But based on these sources, it sounds like an absolute free-for-all behind closed doors.
It really is. What's fascinating here is how that $10 billion is physically tearing at the seams of European alliances.
Right, let's look at Paris. Zelensky just rushed there to meet with French President Emmanuel Macron.
Yeah, an emergency meeting.
And Zelensky was explicitly warning that lifting these U.S. sanctions, it doesn't just fund Moscow's war machine in Ukraine. He says it destabilizes the Middle East further with Russian-funded drones.
Because the money flows right into weapons manufacturing.
Exactly. And Macron backed him up. He warned that Russia is dead wrong to think it gets any sort of breathing room from the Iran conflict.
But then you have Germany.
Right. German Economy Minister Katharina Reich.
Yeah, she publicly voiced her anxiety about this whole situation filling, quote, Putin's war chest.
But she also cited the high domestic political pressure in the U.S., almost like she gets why Washington did it.
She understands the political reality, even if it hurts Europe's security.
And speaking of security, the schism inside the EU right now is wild. You have 8 EU countries, Estonia, Poland, Germany, a few others, literally begging the EU to ban former Russian soldiers from the Schengen zone.
Because for them, the threat is physical. It's right on their borders.
Right. But then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have Hungary.
Ah, yeah. Viktor Orban.
Viktor Orban has actually seized millions from a Ukrainian bank.
Which is unprecedented.
Zelensky called it state banditry. And Orban is also blocking a massive EU loan to Kyiv just to secure Russian oil for Hungary.
And it's not just Hungary. Slovakia is also threatening Kyiv over blocked pipelines.
Right. So how do you reconcile that?
What's fascinating here is how energy and geography are being weaponized.
How so?
Well, look at the stark difference in perspective.
Yeah.
You have border nations like Poland and Estonia who are terrified of Russian soldiers walking across their borders.
Sure, existential threat.
Exactly. But then you have landlocked, energy-dependent nations like Hungary and Slovakia.
They need the oil.
They need the oil to survive. They don't have ports to bring in alternative energy, so they are making very localized, ruthless survival plays.
Even if it hurts Ukraine.
Impartially speaking, yes. They are looking out for their own power grids.
Man, that is grim. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because if Russia is exporting oil to survive, Ukraine is exporting something entirely different. There's this huge reversal of roles happening with military tech.
Oh, the drone technology.
Yes. So 11 different countries, along with Washington, by the way, have officially asked Ukraine for help in countering Iranian Shahed drones.
The exact same drones being used in the Middle East right now.
Exactly. Ukraine has even proposed a defense air exchange with the Middle East. It's like the startup beta tester suddenly being hired as the lead engineer for the biggest tech firms in the world.
That's a great analogy. Because after 4 years of grueling everyday survival, Ukraine's military has essentially become the world's premier laboratory for modern warfare.
They've seen it all.
They have their hard-won expertise. I mean, learning how to shoot down a Shahed drone cheaply and effectively is now a globally traded geopolitical asset.
But the tech exchange goes both ways, right? Because Western technology is severely escalating the conflict inside Russia itself.
Right, the Bryansk strike.
Yeah. Moscow just summoned the UK and French ambassadors to protest a missile strike on a factory in Bryansk, which is in northern Russia.
Deep inside Russian territory.
Deep inside. And Moscow is claiming this strike was only possible with the direct help of British and French specialists.
Well, and they have a point regarding the technology.
We really?
Yeah, I mean, the profound irony here is that these advanced Western missiles require incredibly complex satellite mapping and programming to evade Russian radar.
Right.
The Kremlin's argument is that Ukrainian soldiers aren't the ones programming that specific flight path data. It requires Western engineers.
So it's this weird web. Ukraine is teaching the U.S. how to fight drones, and the UK and France are allegedly helping Ukraine program missiles to hit Russia.
Exactly. The borders of who is actually fighting this war are completely blurred by technology.
Which brings us to a really sobering point.
Right.
We've talked about billions of dollars. We've talked about cutting-edge drone tech and diplomatic fights in Paris.
Right.
But at the 4-year mark today, day 1,479 $, we really need to anchor this deep dive in the staggering human cost.
Because it's easy to lose sight of that when we talk about oil waivers.
It is.
Yeah.
And the sheer scale of the reality on the ground is just, it's hard to process. According to the Ukrainian sources we're looking at, they estimate Russian casualties alone are at roughly 1.27 million.
1.27 million.
Yeah. And the cost of reconstructing Ukraine, it's currently estimated at over 500 billion euros.
€500 billion just to rebuild.
Just to rebuild the physical damage.
Right.
But then there's the human damage. The UN has officially accused Russia of crimes against humanity regarding the deportation of Ukrainian children.
Yeah, this is one of the darkest aspects of the conflict.
The sources say about 2,000 children have been recovered, which is good, but Zelensky notes that thousands and thousands are still held captive.
And when you hear numbers like 1.27 million casualties or 500 billion euros, I mean, it's easy for your brain to just go numb.
Completely numb, which is why I want to talk about this other detail from the reporting. It's about a cultural boycott.
The Paralympics.
Yes. Ukraine and 9 other national delegations are officially boycotting the opening ceremony of the 2026 Paralympic Games in Milano Cortina.
To protest the Russian and Belarusian athletes being there.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, when you hear about deported children and 1 million casualties, it's easy to ask, why should you care about a Paralympic boycott when there's a literal war happening?
Well, because it matters. Cultural boycotts, like the Paralympics in Milano Cortina, they're the last remaining frontiers of soft power.
Soft power.
Yeah. I mean, the war is being fought on the ski slopes and ice rinks just as fiercely as it is being fought in the trenches of Sumy or the ports of Odessa.
How do you mean? Like psychologically?
Exactly. Russia has historically used international sports to project strength and normalcy to their domestic audience.
Oh, like, look, everything is fine. We're winning gold medals.
Right. So by orchestrating a 10-nation walkout at the opening ceremony, Ukraine is denying them that normalcy. They are forcing the international community to acknowledge the reality of the war, even in a space that is supposed to be politically neutral.
That makes total sense. They're stripping away the facade.
Yes, completely.
Man. So, to kind of wrap up the journey we just took today.
It's been a big one.
It has. We started with a U.S. oil waiver that was meant to cool down a crisis in the Middle East.
Right.
But that waiver poured billions of dollars directly into the bank accounts of Moscow.
Which then fractured European unity.
Exactly, pitting landlocked countries against border nations. And meanwhile, the tactical expertise forged in the drone-filled skies of Ukraine is now being exported right back to the Middle East.
It's a perfect, terrifying loop.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty mind-bending question to chew on long after this deep dive ends.
Let's hear it.
If a localized war in the Middle East dictates global oil prices, which then directly funds an invasion in Eastern Europe, which in turn exports drone warfare tactics back to the Middle East, are we already living through the first truly decentralized world war without even realizing it?
Wow. That's a heavy thought because it redefines what a global conflict even is.
Exactly. It's not just troops on a map anymore.
Not at all.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.
RRF Caserta. South Italy in English language.